Okay, so this is my classroom management folder. And so on the front, I just have some quotes, but I'm not going to go into those because I'll explain them as I go through each page. On the first page, I have my philosophies, and so I chose to focus on Marvin Marshall because that's who I believe that I relate my ideas to the most. He is considered high control, but is not... I wouldn't really classify him as high control. I'd classify him more as medium. He's all about having everything be very organized and structured, but still low stress, and his rules equal consequences. And the teacher has high awareness, but the kids are also free to kind of figure things out for themselves, which is what I like, because I think kids tend to learn the most when they are able to kind of wrestle with things themselves. The next page is the democratic classroom, and just some ideas that I had as I was going through and making this. To me, I just think that the students really need a voice in the classroom. It's really easy to become kind of authoritarian, where it's just like whatever I say goes because that's the easiest route. But I don't think that's the most beneficial. When kids get out in the real world, they're going to have to learn how to make decisions for themselves and hold responsibilities. And so that's what I want my classroom to be like. I want the kids to have a say and be able to express their opinions and thoughts and ideas in how we should run the classroom. Obviously with teacher guidance, because it would just be a little crazy without it. The next page is about motivation, the intrinsic versus extrinsic, and intrinsic, is motivation that a student can find within themselves, while extrinsic is motivation from you get a piece of candy at the end. I think both you need in a classroom. It kind of depends on the situation. For me, some ideas of intrinsic that I want to have is provide activities that are meaningful but students still enjoy as options for rewards. So instead of saying oh, when you're done with this project, you're going to get to go out to recess. No, instead do oh, they get to maybe if they finish their projects good, then they can they have the opportunity to go pick whatever book they want in the library and read it. And I think intrinsic also, we have to really focus on the big idea of what we want our classroom to be like. Obviously I'll still have extrinsic rewards in my classroom because they're kind of unavoidable. I mean, you have grades and praise, but also I want to make sure that I include thoughtful and reflective comments to encourage my students. The next page is rules and procedures. It's right here from the PowerPoint. And one example of rules that I want to have in my classroom are, I have 5 main ones. The first one's try your best. The second, listen to others. Be kind to others, be polite, and have fun. I think they cover the basis of what you would want your classroom to look like. Granted, when I am a teacher, I would prefer to kind of talk about it with my class so we can come up with a list together. And then a progressive discipline plan, what happens if a student breaks a rule. Obviously, I want to have more of a democratic classroom where the kids help me decide what consequences are appropriate. But some ideas that I had right now when I don't have students is, the first one is to take a break, take time to cool off from the situation and reflect on the situation. I've been in classrooms where they have a think corner where the student can go and just kind of think about what's happened, what they've done, what they need to improve on. And the second one is you break it, you fix it. This means physically and emotionally you do what is necessary to correct the situation, whether it was be mean to someone or you threw something, anything like that. Number 3 would be go to parent contact, and then number 4 would be a loss of a privilege, like going to recess or something like that. A procedure that is just an example of something that I would do would be movement in the classroom, which would be after recess. And I would have the students assemble in a designated area. I greet the students, outside the classroom, the teacher gets students' attention with Simon Says, and then the teacher gives special instruction of what they want the classroom to do, and then I would open the doors and let the students in. So that way there's no confusion on what is the expectation. Okay, the next page is the next 2 pages that I'm going to go over are interventions and preventions. Interventions, the main thing that I want to focus on for me as a person is trying to do the best that I can to take care of the situation without drawing attention, because I feel like when the attention's drawn onto it, then it becomes a bigger deal. Other students see it, and I don't want to glorify bad behavior. And so doing simple things like standing in close proximity or mentioning their name in the lesson to get them get their attention. Obviously, with more severe things that they do, you're gonna have to go to like a parent contact or loss of privileges. But for the more simpler things like talking in class, like just oftentimes like standing near them is gonna do so much. Prevention. The main thing is I have 3 steps that I kind of came up with for a positive student and teacher relationship. The first is to have set procedures in the classroom, so that way the student knows exactly what their expectation is, so there's no question about it. They're never wondering like, well, what's the teacher want me to do? The second one is to have rules and consequences. I think that's just necessary to keep the classroom moving and going and keeping behavior in line. And then the third one is to just really learn about my students. I think oftentimes it's like, you know what you know about them in the classroom, but outside of the classroom, we don't really care. But it's like, I want to know what kind of sports they like to play, or, you know, what TV shows they're watching, because that helps me know how to help them become better. And then my last page right here that I'm going to go over is my map. The main thing is I want to have a rug in the front of my classroom where we can come together, learn about lessons, talk, read, anything like that. And then they're able to move to their desks, which would be in groups of 4, to have group work. So you get the big group whole discussion, and then you also get the group work, and then in the back have another like round table for small groups with the teacher, or even individual with the teacher. So you're getting all the different types of interaction, and the students are constantly moving, so there's no getting bored or anything like that. One other thing that I'd like to add that I think is kind of unique that I want to have in my classroom is some sort of radio system or music system. I think I'm not musical, but I think music can help lighten the mood and get kids excited about learning if it's used properly, and so that's something that I really want to make sure that I have in my classroom. Other than that, I think the main thing that I emphasize throughout this whole thing is I want my students to be able to not be afraid to express their opinions, express their thoughts, express their ideas, because they're not dumb. They are very smart, and I don't think they're given enough credit. And so when they're given the credit and recognize that, like, hey, I'm a human being too, and I have ideas and things like that that can help better the classroom environment becomes more of like a community instead of just this place that I have to go every day that I hate. So that's pretty much it that I have.